Okay, so by now everyone should have had the opportunity to grab a pen and a paper. We will get started. I want to start off by giving you guys a little overview of how we came up with this brand called the Highway to Freedom. In order for me to do that, I have to take you guys back in time. Uh, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and at the point in time, my mother was a single mom. She was a young mother, and she sent me down at a young age to good old South Carolina to be raised by my aunt and uncle. And at that point in time, I wasn't too thrilled. I wasn't too excited about moving down south, leaving the big city, going to the country. But my mother and my aunt and uncle, they felt it was going to be a great opportunity for me to get that structure in my life, establish a great foundation, learn manners, yes sir, yes ma'am, and things of that nature. And even though I wasn't too thrilled about moving down south at that time, it definitely turned out to be something very positive for me. I had the opportunity to be in all type of extracurricular activities, whether it was sports, whether it was me playing the piano in the church and learning how to play different musical instruments. I got a chance to travel all over the United States with my aunt and uncle because not only were they had great jobs, like for example, my aunt, she was a teacher in the high school, the local high school down there in South Carolina. My uncle was a principal at the middle school. So they had great jobs, but they were also entrepreneurs, all type of network marketing opportunities. Some of you may be familiar with Amway or KM, just different network marketing opportunities they were a part of. My uncle was also had his own photography business where he would take pictures of weddings. And as he was taking the pictures, my aunt would be the one on his side coordinating the weddings, putting those weddings together. So they were a great team, and they were an awesome role model for me to see and kind of mold my life kind of the way I wanted to live. That opportunity to travel. I mean, they even had a nice big house down there. When I got my license at the age of 16, I had options of the cars I wanted to drive to school. I mean, I had a really pretty good life and a great foundation to kind of model the lifestyle that I wanted to live as a man. Needless to say, as great as it was, the day after I graduated high school in 1999, I remember the day after I moved back to Brooklyn to live with my mom. And moving back to Brooklyn, it wasn't so peaches and cream as it was in the South. I remember my mom telling me like it was yesterday, you have to get up and get out and get a job. You're not going to sit around the house and play video games and be on that keyboard all day. You're going to have to contribute to some bills around this house. And she actually got me my first job working at Foot Locker. Now, I want to bring up this chart here. Some of you may be familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and the Cash Flow Quadrant. So as I give you a depiction of the route that I took in my life towards this highway to freedom, we will use this chart to kind of demonstrate it. So speaking of that job at Foot Locker, I started off in this left side of the quadrant as an employee. And initially, I was very excited. I got a job. I'm a man now. I mean, I was 18. I'm out of high school. It's time for me to start to embark on that manhood. So I said, I got this job. I'm going to get paid. And this is going to give me the opportunity to replace that lifestyle that I had in the South and really achieve it on my own as a man. But I remember at the end of that first week, I got my first check. And it was a check for $90. And I said, whoa. And I felt like I worked hard that week. I felt like I was definitely worth more than the $90 check that I received. And I said, it's going to take a lot of these $90 checks to replace the lifestyle that I had. So I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and I moved on to another job. I was working at Starbucks, which I had fun yelling out the drinks. Let me get a tall frappuccino and all those little terminologies as a barista. And but I realized as much as fun as I was having, I had some good coworkers, they were cool. But as much as fun as I was having, the pay was not that much of a difference. So I stayed there for about 2 weeks. And you guys got to remember, I was used to working. The one job that I did have in high school, I was playing the piano in the church. I would sit in the church for 2 hours and make about $400. So for me to come get a job where I'm working all week to get $100 at the end of the week, it just wasn't cutting it for me. So I didn't have a lot of patience when it came to staying at those jobs. And so I remember getting one of the best jobs that I had was at the DoubleTree Guest Suites. As a room server, I would take the food to the rooms of the guests. And I was making pretty good money. Not only was I getting a good income, but I was making nice tips. I remember having the first time ever having a knot. In those days, we used to carry around knots. It wasn't about the debit card. There was a knot in my pocket. I had $1,000 in my pocket. I was the man. Yes, finally I got a job that's going to replace that lifestyle. But what I found was the amount of hours that I had to put in to make that type of money was really not what I was looking for. Especially as a young man, I was maybe in my 19s and 20s. I just wanted some money. I wasn't really seriously career-minded at that age. And I remember my supervisor coming to me one day and said, "Shane, you are an awesome worker when you show up." Because at that point, it got to the point where I would go to work late and then I would get chewed out for being late. So if I woke up late the next time, I wouldn't even go because I'm like, I didn't want to hear my supervisor's mouth. So I'm not even going to go to work. So needless to say, I got fired from that job after about 2 months. So I got back in that newspaper, started looking for opportunities, and I found this one company that was promising me the opportunity to own my own business. And this sounded pretty exciting. It was a perfume and cologne company, but it wasn't the average perfume and cologne company. This company all their boxes were branded the same, so they had their own fragrances. Pretty much the type of fragrance they would say, well, if you like Polo Sport, you might like this. But the boxes had no names on them. They all looked the same. So whether it was CK, Polo, Cool Water, or whatever the case might be, it was like a knockoff version of it. And we were not in a store setting. They pretty much would give us that merchandise and just send us out on our way. And the best way you could sell that perfume, it was really up to you. So if you sold perfume, you made money. If you didn't sell, you didn't make any money. But that was really one of the turning points of my life. And as we talk about that, we can see I kind of graduated to the next quadrant in Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant right here, where we talk about being self-employed. And I really like the idea of being self-employed because whatever I put in is exactly what I was going to get out. And it was fair to me. And I really gave it all I had selling that perfume and cologne all over New York City. I mean, I was selling perfume and cologne on the trains. I was in Times Square. I was in Wall Street. I was in the Bronx. I was on Jamaica Ave. I was on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. I was everywhere. Anywhere I saw people, I was selling that perfume and cologne. And so from there, I graduated to another sales job, which still kept me in that self-employed bracket because like I say, if I put the work in, I made the money. If I didn't put the work in, it was just a fair system. And I got another job selling life insurance, I was very excited about that opportunity as well. And I sold a lot of policies. I had the opportunity to travel all over the world because of my accomplishments and the amount of sales that I made selling life insurance. I've been to Mexico a couple of times. I've been to Aruba. I've been to Vienna, Austria. I've been to Hawaii. And these were all expense-paid trips because of my accomplishments selling that life insurance. Then after a point in time, I started feeling like, well, this is great. This is awesome. But the amount of time that I had to put in in order to have that success was starting to worry me because I was concerned about my quality of life. I mean, I was working 10 and 11-hour days, type of situations where I get home, my daughter's in the bed, the food is in the microwave. And I said, man, this self-employed is great, but again, it's fair. But you put in, you get out. So the concern was if I didn't put in those 10, 11 hours days, was I going to have the same success? So through those travels, I met other people that had the similar goals. We just wanted to be free. Yeah, we want to make the money to give us an awesome lifestyle, but we want to have some type of freedom with it. Not only financial freedom, but the time freedom. And I would meet people who were like-minded, like a lot of you may be right here on this webinar with us tonight. And we started exploring on the right side of this cash flow quadrant. We're transitioning from being not just self-employed, but actual business owners, and actually taking the money that we would work for and starting to invest it. So here on the Highway to Freedom, we have an awesome opportunity that covers both sides of this cash flow quadrant. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight. We are consisted of affiliate company through a company called National Wealth Center that's grossed $250 million, that's passed 100% commissions directly from member to member. And we take advantage of the $5.3 trillion daily turnover Forex markets that propels us down this highway to freedom. And we call it the highway to freedom because generally in life, people are connected through avenues, streets, highways, dirt roads, different intersections that pretty much bring people together. So some of you here, you may not have my exact story, but generally, a lot of you and a lot of the people who thrive on the highway to freedom, we're trying to get to the same place, which is financial freedom, time freedom, mental freedom. We just want to be free to live our life as we so see fit. Okay? So to get started, I want to give you guys, let you hear a quick video on our mission here on the Highway to Freedom to kind of bring it even more to life. Here we go.
Here on the Highway to Freedom, we mobilize people and resources to drive, motivate, and create an organization of champions battling the war on poverty together. We do not promote the love of money, but the understanding of money to enable our members to exit the rat race and stop accepting poverty as a normal way of life. We encourage our members to think for themselves, developing and exploring how to have money work for them so they can stop being a slave to money, living from paycheck to paycheck. We have read and understand the book 12 Commandments of Luck. Daily, we are learning, applying, and teaching the 3 basic wealth principles to others as we grow. Understanding how money works for the wealthy, which only 5% of the world's population has learned, and have the discipline to implement these principles into their lives, leaving 95% of the undisciplined living from paycheck to paycheck. Our mission as a team is to address and cure the stinking thinking taught in our school systems to get a job and work for someone your entire life for a paycheck that you could easily create for yourself. As a team, we challenge ourselves through self-development and motivation to learn the principles of wealth and not only apply them to our lives, but to teach people in our circle to do the same, striving to be a better you every day to create time to enjoy this thing called life and not working until we die. Embracing the work hard but play even harder philosophy, which will enable us to take our eyes off of ourselves to help others succeed as well through self-development and motivation. One team, one dream. Financial freedom. If you are a champion who is willing to learn, work, and share, we want to work with you and help you navigate this highway to freedom straight to the top.
Okay, so that gave you guys our mission. And 1 second here. That's our mission statement here on the Highway to Freedom. And like I said, we are comprised of 2 major industries. And the first thing I'm going to talk about tonight is the $5.3 trillion Forex market. Now, some of you may have heard of the term Forex, and some of you may be more familiar with the term foreign exchange. So I have prepared a little video for you as well that talks about what is Forex.
If you have ever traveled to a foreign country, you may have needed to exchange your money. If so, you have already participated in Forex trading. Forex is the short form of foreign exchange. Well, Forex is a bit more than that. For example, companies buy goods from other countries. In order to buy them, they need to obtain the local currency first, just like us when going on holiday. The difference is they will exchange huge amounts. When these companies exchange these huge amounts, they will actually move the price because the demand for the currency that they need increases. When the demand increases, the price increases. With all this exchanging going on around the world, the exchange rates constantly move. This is how it works. When currencies are exchanged, they have a certain price, the exchange rate. As in any market, the price of a currency is determined by the law of supply and demand. If there are many people or companies that want to change euros into dollars, the price of the dollar will rise against the euro, and so the exchange rate will change. Let's use an everyday example to explain how you can actually profit from this. Say you live in Europe and went on holiday to the United States. Let's say that you changed your 500 euros into US dollars at the rate of $1.4 for every euro. You got 700 US dollars, but you do not spend any money at all. So you still have $700 after you come back. After the exchange rate moved from 1.4 to 1.3, instead of getting just 500 euros back, you actually get 538.5 euros. You have gained 38.5 euros simply from holding your money in dollars while the exchange rate changed. This is essentially how we trade in the Forex market. We buy a certain amount of a currency, hold on to it whilst the exchange rate moves, then change it back, making money along the way. How to decide when the right time to buy and sell is exactly what we teach you throughout the rest of our learning lessons. As you can imagine, traveling a lot and saving a bit of money on your holiday budget and then exchanging it, it's not really a practical approach to trading currencies. Fortunately, there is an easier way to do this. You can trade currency through online exchange offices called brokers. What this means is that you can exchange currencies online throughout the day and take advantage of the constantly fluctuating exchange rates. Just as in the example of when you went on holiday, you can buy different currencies and make a profit as the exchange rates change. This is trading the Forex market. Trading Forex online with a broker has many benefits. You can trade Forex from your home or anywhere that you have an internet connection. The Forex market never sleeps. It is open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and so can suit your daily routine. You do not need a huge budget to get started. As little as $150 is enough to begin trading and building your account over time. Of course, it will require some learning until you get there, but this is exactly what Tradimo is here for. To help you learn how to trade in a way that can suit your individual lifestyle.
Okay, so this video gave you a nice little depiction of the Forex market, and I also have a little chart that compares the Forex market to some of the other major markets. As we take a look here, the New York Stock Exchange is worth $50 billion daily turnover per day. Then we have the UK markets is worth about $2.2 trillion daily turnover per day. Then we have the beast of the Forex. You can see the difference in Forex compared to these other financial markets, which is worth $5.3 trillion daily turnover, okay? As the guy said, it's also a 24-hour market. So today the market opened at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will stay open until 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday afternoon, giving you all those opportunities throughout the week to make money. It's also a highly leveraged market. So the amount of money that you start with it's leveraged at a ratio of 1 to 1,000. Each one of your $1 is worth $1,000 in the Forex markets, which allows you to take something as small as, like the guy said, as small as $150 and able to see awesome returns on it from something so small. It's also a highly volatile market, so there's a lot of movement in the Forex market. I remember when I used to invest in stocks, I may invest into a stock now, and I won't look to see returns for 6 months, maybe up to a year on the company that I invest in. With Forex, I can literally put a position in right now and within hours look to pull profits because of the high volatility of the market, because of how much it moves. The 37 major pairs, another awesome benefit of the Forex markets is that you have the ability to go long and short, as it says on the bottom. So what do we mean by going long and short? So traditionally with the stock market, I invest into a company. If the company value goes up, I'm making money. If the company value starts to go down, I'm losing money. In Forex, as long as I'm making the right decisions, whether it's going to go up or down, I have the opportunity to make money both ways. And the thing I love the best about the Forex market is, as that guy said in the video, you can trade the Forex market anywhere in the world you have an internet connection. I mean, I'm pretty much a living example of it because as I speak right now, I'm out in Medellin, Colombia, on travels, enjoying myself, and still making money because I do have an internet connection. So that gives you guys a great idea of the benefits and the power of the Forex markets. And here on the Highway to Freedom, we've been trading this Forex market for about a year and a half. I know we first originally started back in February of 2016. And when we started off, it's more of an intimate group. It wasn't open to the public. It was just a group of traders, maybe about 9 to 10 of us, learning how to trade, taking our lumps, taking our bumps, taking losses, and just learning and mastering this craft of the Forex market. And we started to open that platform out to the public as something that people could learn. We even partnered with other companies that were teaching folks how to trade the Forex. And for the most part, the masses generally was not able, we saw more people fall off due to whatever reason. Maybe it was a time they had to work their 9 to 5 jobs. Maybe it was because of the complexity of the markets. You know, everybody has their excuse why they didn't win or whatever the case. And I'm really not the type of person who waddles and reasons why not. But we always said there has to be a way that we can help more people with this Forex market because we knew the power of it, especially when you can consider that you can make money anywhere in the world that you have an internet connection. So what happened was late into 2016, we started seeing consistent growth, consistent profits, enough to the point where it was something to brag about with the unique trading strategy that we have here on the Highway to Freedom. So what we decided to do was open up a signals channel. Now, what a signals channel, our signals channel allows folks to do is come on and piggyback off of our profitable traders. So you could literally, we have folks who literally come in and don't really know much about how to trade the Forex, but they know how to play that game that we all knew how to play as young children, follow the leader. So let's talk about this for a minute. Let me open up a screen here. And how do we do this? So about 10 years ago, Forex was not really open up to the general public. It was more of a game that the rich would play. It was a game that big industries like the banks would play and other large industries would play because of the amount of money that you had, for one, to start. I mean, you had to have an account with at least $25,000 just to get started. Now, over the recent years, with advancements in technology, the World Wide Web. I mean, these phones that we have today, you can download all these different type of applications that allow you to do so many different things. With that type of technology, Forex has been opened up to the general public. And this, what you're seeing on my screen right here, is what they call a MetaTrader 4 app that you can simply download on your phone, and it allows you to trade the Forex markets and take it in your own hands right from your phone. So we open up this signals channel. Folks are able to come on that, like I say, don't know much, or they're busy. They have their 9-to-5 jobs and different things they're doing in their life, but they're able to take advantage of our signals by our posting. Now, how do we put out the signals? So we have what we call like a Telegram group, which allows our community to communicate with each other, ask questions if necessary. There's a lot of motivation in that group. There's a lot of positivity. I mean, every single morning, people are, imagine having a family that's saying, good morning, great day, guys, good luck in the trades. Just communicate with each other. We also have a separate channel that we put our signals in. This is an example, as you see on the screen, of what our signals look like. So in this case right here, it says I'm buying the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. The price where I'm getting in the trade, the position, if it's the first, second, or third position, and we give you a depiction of the risk that you should be taking per trade. And our team is able to simply look at this information, go on their application on their cell phones, and literally put in a trade and go back to doing whatever they were doing. We call it turning your cell phone into an ATM machine. It takes less than a minute for our team to enter a trade right off of their cell phone and go back to whatever they're doing. People are spending more time on social media than it takes to actually enter a trade and start making money with our platform. And we opened this platform out the third week of January of 2017, and we haven't looked back yet. We've been up and up and up and away with this signals channel, and it was definitely that follow the leader game. As a kid, I never knew that follow the leader game would come back to me in such a positive way. But since we opened that signals channel, it has totally turned the game around for us here on the Highway to Freedom, and it has allowed us to help so many people. And that means so much to us here on the Highway to Freedom, because we live by the philosophy that if I can help enough people simply get what they want out of life, then I can have anything in the world that I want out of life. Okay? So when it's time to close out a trade, we also send a separate signal that says close. Like in this case, we were closing the USD JPY. We closed it out for 61 pips. We're going to talk about pips in a few minutes, a little bit later in the presentation. But if you had a standard account with us in that trade alone, you would have made about $610. In this next position, we closed out the euro versus the Swiss franc for 20 pips, which would have been about $200 with a standard account. So guys, I can't stress enough how this signals channel has allowed us to turn the game around. And it's not all about just getting folks to follow the trades, because we also want people to actually learn this skill set and master this skill set. So we also have a YouTube channel specifically for Forex trading education that teaches the strategy that we use to have success on the Highway to Freedom. But we also understand that it's a lot more appetizing when you can come in and make money right away as you learn. So you're earning as you're learning. Usually it's the other way around. You learn and then you earn. Well, the people that are trading with us here on the Highway to Freedom, they're literally coming in earning as they're learning. Now, you say, yeah, Shane, that's all talk. So what I did, I like to pull from some testimonials, because this is one of the most things I'm proud about, are the lives that we're changing. It is the fact that we have so many people who are winning here with us on the Highway to Freedom. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Just pull up my Facebook page. And I want to take you guys to our group here on the Highway to Freedom. Okay, there we go. And in our Facebook group, it's an intimate group, and we're able to talk, and folks, they put out their results for the day, and they share what they're doing. This is one of the guys on our team. His name is Mark Lewis. Most recently, he posted this about 7 hours ago. Mark has been with us, I would say, for about 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. And in this testimonial, he says, sometimes people only believe what they see. So go ahead and take a look at my account and believe. After making that mistake in my first day of live trading, my account have now jumped over the hill and hit the $1,026 threshold, only on the Highway to Freedom. Come find out how you can change your payroll. I remember Mark having about $50 to $100 in his accounts a couple of months ago. And by him following the trades, by him actually learning how to trade as well as he takes this journey with us, he's compounded his profits to over $1,000. Okay, if I scroll down a little bit more here, and we put all kind of things in, like happy birthday to one of the brothers here on the Highway to Freedom. And you guys can always join our Highway to Freedom FX Facebook group and witness those testimonials. Here's another testimonial from Mr. Earl Johnson, one of our leaders here. He said, hard day's work. And if I scroll down a little bit more, let's see what he did for his hard days of work. $344 he made that day alone. And I mean, I know people that don't make that within a week. Some people barely make that within 2 weeks. He made that in a day by simply hitting buttons on his cell phone, turning his cell phone into an ATM machine. What else do we have? I mean, we have a few members. Natalie Stokes, my first 100 earnings day. So that day, and she made $100 that day, which was a major milestone for her because she had never done that. And, you know, she showed some of the trades that she was able to close out. Let's see what other trades. Here's an awesome testimonial from a guy on our team we call King Aziz. He said, just the other day, I was hyped to have my account hit 6,000 in 4 months. Now I hit 7,000. Now, what's so awesome about this testimonial, guys, in February the 8th, Aziz joined the platform and he started his account with $100. And I remember he wanted to put a little bit more. And I said, just start with the $100, Aziz, and let's see what happens when we compound these profits. 4 months later, $100 turned to $7,000, guys. $7,000. I promise you, if you park $100 in your savings account, after 4 months, it will not be $7,000. You will be hard pressed to find anything legal where you can see those type of returns on your investments. And these testimonials, I mean, they go on and on and on and on and on. And you can go on our Facebook group and see for yourself. I got to give this one. Okay, this is how I dress up to go to work. This is one of our leaders here, Lawrence Martin. He said, this is how I dress up to go to work. And guys, that was his daily profit. This happened just last week. I think on Thursday or Friday, Lawrence pulled out $2,269 that day. And he started his account back in October of 2016. Now, Lawrence was one of the original traders on the Highway to Freedom that helped us get this thing going. So he definitely knows what he's doing, has all the facts about how to trade, but he started his account in October of 2016 with $200. Guys, last week, Lawrence showed us his account, over $47,000. So, I mean, we are definitely using the Forex markets to our advantage. We're winning, and most importantly, we're helping other people win as well. Now, before I close out, I just want to give you guys a depiction of what we're doing here on the Highway to Freedom because, you know, documentation always beats the conversation. It always beats the conversation. So we like to document every week what we're doing. And here our goal is to earn on an average of 5% per day, 25% per week, and 100% per month. So that means you're literally doubling your investment on a monthly basis. You heard me talk about the pips earlier. So in order for us to be able to double our investments on a monthly basis, we need to be averaging about 250 pips per week, no matter what you start with, because it's all relative. But if we can average 250 pips per week, we are well on our way of hitting that goal of doubling our accounts on a monthly basis. So this is our pip count that we've kept since the third week of January of 2017 that we opened this platform out to the public. And as we take a scroll down, the first week was 250. You see, if you follow this yellow line all the way down, this is the end result for the week. 250, 648, 479, 306, 446, 292, 445, 275, 560. The numbers go on and on and on, guys. Now, there are some weeks that we may not have hit the 250, but if you take the overall results that we've earned over the last 21 weeks of putting out signals in our signal channel, it's a total of 8,928 pips, giving us an average of 425 pips per week. So we are definitely hitting our goals and above and beyond. This is why we're able to have the success that we have here with our signals channel. This is why people are excited about being with us. And this is why people are creating return on their investments that they probably couldn't even imagine right through their cell phones. Okay? So that's my segment on the Forex markets and what we're doing here and how we're changing lives. Now, you guys do remember me saying, and I want to pull back up this chart, because if we look at Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, the information I just covered on the Forex market covers the investing side of that quadrant. And if you know anything about Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow quadrant, he always talks about you should be earning income on the right side, literally the right side of this quadrant here. And the Forex covers the investing. Now, we do have business ownership here as well that we're able to do through that affiliate company. And I have the pleasure of passing the mic over to none other than Mr. Lawrence Martin. You just heard me give his testimonial. Lawrence Martin has 100% of the facts when it comes to what we do here on the Highway to Freedom. He's creating awesome results. He has a heart for helping people genuinely. He's fun to be around. I've had the opportunity to travel to Mexico with him as well, and we had a blast. So, Lawrence, are you there on the line? Maybe I have to unmute him. Give me 1 second. Lawrence, can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Good night. Good night, everyone. And thank you so much, Shane, for that introduction. Guys, Shane is someone who carries on my core belief. I think one of the things that hit it off with us as friends, he carries off my core belief. The more people I can help to get what they want out of life, the more I'm going to achieve in my own. Shane is also a firm believer in that statement. He lives it every day. You know, as he said, that's just me. I love to help. I love to help people. I mean, that started back when my grandfather always taught us about service and service, you know, doing service to your fellow man. And at 12, 13 years old, I gathered up a group of young men my age. And back in my country, in my village, we started helping the seniors on weekends, you know, help them cut their grass, run errands for them, so on. And that turned into my first business at the age of 15, right? Where other people now used to hire us to do the same thing for them. And that's when I truly started to see what my grandfather always used to tell us, that the more people you help to achieve what they want, the more that you are going to achieve. You put it out into the universe, you put that goodness out, and it's going to come back to you tenfold. So, as Shane said, I'm here to talk about the business ownership end of that quadrant. All right. So, as Shane alluded earlier, all right, we partnered up with a company called National Wealth Center. National Wealth Center is a company that has been around for around 16 years, during which time they have passed on over $250 million, $250 million from person to person, right? Literally. So now, quickly, how this is going to work, right? To get those signals, what Shane told you that you're going to get over your phone to turn your phone into ATM, you are going to pay $109.95 per month to get this signal. At $109.95 per month, of which $9.95 is going to be NWC's administration fees. So $9.95 in administration fees. The next $100 is passed from person to person. So in this example, we're showing that you get in here, you pay that $100, it goes directly to your sponsor. All right. So when we're talking about really starting a business here, we start looking at earning. So I am sure, like we say here, our team is built organically, because I am very sure each and every one of you that when you start seeing some type of success, or even some people here before they start seeing success, they just see what this system can do for you. And just with that, they realize you're going to have a friend, a family member, something. Or if you're as hyped as this about me, you speak to everyone. You speak to everyone, because I am very passionate about this. And as you can see with my numbers, you can see why. But I'm just always so happy to help people move forward in their life, the way somebody reached down and helped me to move forward. All right, so you go out there and you invite one of your friends. All right, so right there, your friend is going to give you that $100 per month. So let's think about this. You're giving your sponsor $100 a month. Your friend is giving you $100 a month. What do you realize now? How much is coming out of your pocket every month? So basically, as we say around here, is that with the first person that you bring in here, your signals every month are basically free, just for bringing that one person in. All right, so you're actually now profiting off of your Forex, and you're getting your signals for free. But I'm very sure that you have more than one friend, right? Or you have more than one family member, more than one person you're going to tell about this. What happens then? So this is how it's going to work. When you bring your first 4 people in, what is going to happen? Person number 1 and person number 3, you are going to keep. You are going to keep number 1 and number 3. Number 2 and number 4, you're going to pass up to your sponsor. All right. I know this is where a lot of people start thinking, oh, that kind of sounds unfair, right? I go out there, I bust my butt, I get 4 people, and I got to give 2 up to my sponsor. But then think about this. That number 1 person and the number 3 person that you kept, they have to give you their 2nd and their 4th persons. So right there on this next level, if you look at it here, green, you're being paid for all the money-colored men on the screen. So by that level, you're earning 1, 200 over here, 3, 4, 5, 600. $600 a month in extra income while still trading and earning money in your Forex system. All right. So, next level, those 4 people who you got from your number 1 and your number 3 persons, they are going to give you another 2 people each, making it another 8 people. All right, because every member that pays you directly, they are going to pass on their second and their 4th persons to you until infinity. All right, so by showing just 4 people how to get 4 people, your income potential has become limitless. All right, now I'm sure you have a question you ask. Oh, Lawrence, but I have more than 4 friends. What about if I want to bring more than 4 people in here? Well, you can, but then the nice part of it, the only people you are going to ever pass up to your sponsor is your number 2 and your number 4 persons. After that, from number 5 to infinity, you are going to keep. So you, number 5, 6, 7, 8, 20, 30, how many ever you people you bring in after that 4 people, they are going to pass up 2 people to you, who are going to pass up 2 people to you, who are going to pass up 2 people to you until infinity. You will never ever have to pass up anybody else after your second pass up. All right. So, I mean, guys, just think about that earning potential that is there by creating your own business. Now you're in total control of the right side of the quadrant. All right. You're a business owner and you're an investor. All right. So, just touching on this, I always like to say another way to make money is to save money. And right there from that, NWC has this app that once you become a member, you're able to join this app called My Deals. My Deals, what it does is you punch in your zip code, you punch in wherever you're at, and they are going to show you different deals in your area that you can take part in. Everything from gym membership, restaurants, car maintenance, you name it. Right? They've partnered with, I think it's like over 53,000 merchants across the country where you can have a lot of savings. Another way to make money is to save money. So, what I like to touch on, I just spoke about us being on that right side of the quadrant, owning a home-based business. All right. Some of the benefits of that home-based business, the ability to earn extra income. That's what we are looking for, right? Like Shade alluded to also earlier, we want to stop trading hours for dollars, right? Every time somebody thinks about an extra source of income, we always think about another job, putting additional hours out there. But come on, after all, how many hours can we work? We need to find a way that our dollars, we're not going to be trading our hours for our dollars anymore, right? We're looking for time freedom to have to spend time doing whatever you like to do, all right? Like, I go back to my boy Shane again. Shane has started back delving into his music. I don't know, he's going to be maybe the next rap star, I don't know. But he's back into his music because why? You know, he has the time to do it. And the next main benefit, the one that I like the most, is tax breaks. As a business owner, the tax system is set up differently from you as an employee. Some of the major things, right? So we look at the difference between an employee and a business owner. An employee goes out there, works, earns his money, pays taxes, and then spends what's left. Whilst as a business owner, we earn, we spend, and we pay taxes on what is left. That's why we have that old adage of you, the employee, paying more taxes than your boss. You may not be paying more taxes than him in dollars, but in percent. If you look at the percentage of taxes that he pays and the percentage from his money and the percentage of taxes you pay from your money, you're paying more taxes than him. All right. So basically, I want to kind of end my session here because coming up, I have the pleasure of introducing another gentleman who runs with our ideal of the more people that we can help to get what we want out of life, the more he's going to get in his. Mr. Femi Odonisi. Femi, I mean, we have known each other. He's another one of the original members that's been there, went through the grind and the pressures we had with trading. That's one of the other nice thing about this forum, in that we already took all the lumps and the bumps for you. Going to make sure, right? Femi is going to make sure that you don't have to step on the landmines that we had to step in coming in here. All right. So I would like to introduce my friend and business partner. Femi, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I hear you loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction, Lawrence. As always, a pleasure working with you. Lawrence is a prime example of what it takes to be disciplined, especially in the Forex market. I know him personally, but what he's done so far being on the highway to freedom is super, super impressive. I don't want to give out his business, but obviously he started that Forex account with a modest amount, and it's obviously very huge now. And it's just really a testament, to be honest, of anyone can actually do it. It's about staying disciplined, staying locked in, and understanding where you want to go as far as reaching your goals. So, you know, he started that account, like I said, with hundreds. Now it's in the thousands. And it's all about a disciplined mindset. He's having fun doing it, of course. Celebrating a birthday not too long ago. So happy birthday to you, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I appreciate everything that you do for the team. And working with you is a pure pleasure on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm not going to keep it too long, but my section actually goes over a couple of things. I dive deeper into the psychology of finance. So I have a video tonight, as I usually do. This one right here, I'm going to let it explain itself. I'm actually going to not waste any time. I'm going to get right to it and actually show it. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to go over a couple of things, okay? And wrap it up.
How many people in this room realize that Social Security and Medicare are kind of in trouble? Good. How many people are not really going to count on it? For good thing. That's a wise decision. How many people realize that corporate pensions, you know, such as those of General Motors and United Airlines, are in trouble also? Good. Thank you. So I want to thank PBS, first of all, for having the courage to have me come on and present Rich Dad's Guide to Wealth, very simply because what you will find out, there are many people in the financial services industry that do not want me to tell you what I'm about to tell you tonight. So, you know, please be aware of that. Also, I want to caution you this. If some of you, what I may say tonight may threaten or challenge some of your beliefs about money. I mean, how many were taught, you know, to save money, for example? Good. Tonight you're going to find out why that's a bad idea. So that's what this program is going to shake some of you and all this, so stay tuned. I promise if you stay tuned, at minimum, your financial IQ will go up, may learn to take more control of your money, and possibly survive the financial hurricane that's going to start brewing in the year 2008, the first of approximately 75 million baby boomers begin to retire. And how many people realize those baby boomers may not have enough money to retire on? Good, and good. That's why I thank you young people, because it'll be up to you to take care of us. So, so before I get out the question, how many of you have already read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Thank you. Who has not yet read the book? Good, there's some of you. For those who haven't read the book, it's good to see some customers still out there. But anyway, for those that haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, according to my background, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a true story about my two dads. My real dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii. Very smart, hardworking, great guy. He was a PhD, and he also ran for lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii. So he's a great man. But I call him my poor dad very simply because even though he was a high-paid government official, no matter how much money he made, he was broke at the end of every month, and he ultimately died broke. So obviously money doesn't make you rich or poor. It's really education that does. And as you can tell, I'm fourth generation Japanese American, which means I don't speak Japanese. I'm going to let you know that now. I barely speak English. My rich dad, on the other hand, was my best friend's father. And although he was a man who started with nothing, he ultimately became one of the richest men in Hawaii. So when you look at the white sands and the blue waters and the tall palm trees and the hula girls and the tall hotels right on Waikiki Beach, my rich dad's family owned some of the land under those hotels. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this book here, is a very simple, true story of what two fathers told two sons, my best friend and I, about the subject of money starting at the age of 9. And I believe one of the reasons the book has been so successful, it is written for 9-year-olds. And it's simple enough for everybody to understand high finance, or more importantly, why the rich are getting richer. So that's basically, my background. I grew up in Hawaii, I was educated in New York, and spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, went to Vietnam twice and all that. And then I came back and started my business career. So, next question is this: how many people have read this book, Prophecy? Yes, and there's fewer of you who have read this book. And while Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a popular book, I think this is a more important book. And the reason I think Prophecy is more important, it's about a very important year. And that year was 1974. And 1974 was a year that the U.S. swung from socialism to capitalism. A very important reason for 1974, it was when a program called ERISA came out. And ERISA stands for Employee Retirement Income Security Act. And when the government's worried about your security, you're in trouble. But also it led to a thing called the 401k back in the 1980s. And this is a very big change in the history of our world right now. So Prophecy came out in 2002. It was not a very popular book because it was writing about the failure of these things called 401ks and pension plans and the crash of Wall Street. So this was 2002, and then in 2005, Time Magazine, just in October of 2005, came out with a front page cover saying the same thing I said here in Prophecy, that there has been a big ripoff of people's pensions. And Time Magazine 3 years later in 2005 says a great retirement ripoff. Millions of Americans who retire with benefits are in for a nasty surprise. How corporations are picking people's pockets with the help of Congress. And that's been going on. That's why so many people are in trouble. And then one day later, the New York Times Magazine came out saying the same thing Prophecy did. And it says, we regret to inform you that you no longer have a pension. And that's why USA Today came out with a statement that said, America's greatest fear is running out of money during retirement. And that's what this program is about, is why we have this problem right now and why so many people may be financially wiped out in the financial hurricane that's hitting us, and also hopefully what you can do about it so that you may be able to save your friends and family. Unfortunately, what I'm about to say tonight will not work for everybody. As you know, life is not fair, but at least you'll have an idea of what you might be able to do on this whole thing. So going into it really quickly is the difference between one of the reasons people are having trouble is they don't know the difference between, still can't spell that, wealth and being rich. I'd like to explain really quickly that my dad taught me that wealth is measured in time and rich is measured in money. And really quickly, the difference here is this. A person who is, when you measure wealth, for example, let's say you have $10,000 in savings and your monthly expenses are $1,000 a month, that means you're 10 months wealthy. You will survive for 10 months. That's what it means. And the reason people are afraid of what's going to come up with them is they don't have enough wealth. They're afraid of running out of money during retirement. And what rich is trying to measure their lives in money. So what my rich dad taught me is don't worry about becoming rich, worry about becoming wealthy. And one of the reasons I was able to retire at the age of 7 was because I focused on being wealthy, not being rich. And that's a very big difference here. I thought I'd review something. I wrote a book called the Cash Flow Quadrant. I think it's one of the most important books for people who want to make changes in their lives. Because, as I said, the E stands for employee, S stands for self-employed or small business, B stands for big business like Bill Gates, and I stands for investor like Donald Trump or Warren Buffett. So, my poor dad always said to me, son, go to school to get a what? Job. And he was programming me, and this is the word is program, me to be an employee. And I talked to my mom, Dad, I don't want to be an employee. And my dad said, you must get a job. You must get a job. You gotta have good education, good grades, get your PhD. And oh my goodness. My mom says, don't argue with your dad. If you want to be rich, go to school, become a doctor, an S, specialist. And I said to my mom, there's only one problem, Mom. She says, what's that? Doctors are smart. She says, you have a good point there. Don't be a doctor. And I talked to my rich dad, and he says, Robert, are you basically lazy and incompetent? I said, yeah. I said, good, you'll do well in business. And so this here is having other people work for you, like my advisors and things like that. And this is having money work for me. And they're very different educational paths. Another thing my rich dad says, again, going to words and vocabularies, employees always say the same words, whether they're the janitor or the president of the company or the CEO. Employees all say the same word. I'm looking for a safe, secure job with benefits. That's their whole attitude. And their emotion is fear. Because they don't know how to survive in the real world. They need that. They have that fear driving them. And S, self-employed, their words are, if you want it done right, do it by yourself. So these guys, the problem with them is they may own a business, but they really own a job. They cannot quit because they don't trust other people. Their emotion is trust. And a business owner is like me. I want to have the smartest people around me as much as possible because then I don't have to do that much work. And as an I want to know how to have my money work hard for me so I don't have to work hard for money. So that's why I started off as an entrepreneur. And over here, this is the beauty of real estate. For every dollar I make here, I bring it down here, and my banker will give me $9 more as long as it's real estate, tax-free money. So I'm getting ahead faster and faster and faster, very simply because for every dollar I have here, my banker's giving me $8 or $9 to get ahead financially. Does that make sense to you guys here? Tax-free money. And if I sell a property, again, I do it tax-free. That's why I'm getting rich. That's why education or financial education is so important. And I think it's really silly that our school system keeps saying to you, go to school to get a safe, secure what? Job, when jobs are being exported overseas so fast right now, it's ridiculous. I mean, I think it was J.P. Morgan. They just exported another 4,700 jobs, and these are smart guys with MBAs and all. They exported it to India. So that's what's happening in the world. But the reason 974 is so important was because when now was a 401k came out, it forced these people to become investors also. And that's why this change was such an important change here. So the other part going into it is that there's 3 basic kinds of education. One is academic. The other one is professional. So you go to school to learn reading and writing. It's very, very important. I didn't do very well here, but I did graduate. And then professionals, when you become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, those are very important. But what I'm saying here is this: in this world, there's 3 types of education that's essential. I'm not saying these are not important. I'm saying they're not enough today. You need more. And the 3rd type of education is education that's called financial education. So what this program is about is not so much about these. I said these are very important, but so is this one right now. And I've never understood why our school systems don't teach us anything about money. You ever wonder that yourself? Why? Because rich or poor, smart or not so smart, we're all going to use money. And it's because our school systems don't teach us much about money. That's the reason so many people are having problems today financially. And so I'm not blaming Wall Street or people who are financial advisors. I'm blaming our education system for not keeping up with the changes in time. So what happens, because we don't have much financial education at school, we actually learn it from our families. So what happens with poor people is, you can look on the screen over here in the plasma, the poor people tell their kids that the government's going to take care of you. You should count on Social Security, and you should count on Medicare and things like this. What the middle class tells their kids is that they should have a good education, get a good high-paying job, a house, and a pension. What they are passive investors. A passive investor is somebody who turns their money over to somebody they hope and pray is an expert. The poor are non-investors. So the difference between a passive investor and an active investor, and what the rich teach their kids, what my rich dad taught me, was that I should be an entrepreneur like Bill Gates or Oprah, and I should be an active investor like Warren Buffett or Donald Trump and things like this. So in this program, what you will be learning about is the difference between active investors and passive investors. A passive investor is a person always going around saying, I have $25,000. I have $25,000. What should I do with it? And the first thing I say, if I were you, I would keep your mouth shut. Because if you go around telling people you have $25,000 and you're a moron, somebody will tell you what to do with that money, and they're going to tell you, give it to them. Does that make sense, you guys here? So that's what this program is about, is so that at least you can help just between a good financial advisor and a bad one. Because if you don't know what you do with your money, somebody else does. So when we come back, I'll be teaching more about financial education and
So, okay, guys. I hope you kind of understood the point of me actually showing that. So I actually posed a question early in the chat: what exactly makes you rich or poor? So I kind of like to get interactive now after watching that video. Basically, I would kind of like to get the opinion of someone in the chat, or anyone can put it in the chat. What do they think makes someone rich or poor? So what I want you guys to do is just like put some suggestions in the chat and let me know exactly what you think makes someone rich or poor. Because the point of that particular video is to show you that really money doesn't really make someone rich or poor. What happens is that, okay, I see mindset. That's a great one right there. Obviously, I agree with that as well. Mindset, financial education. That's also great. That's what really basically Robert Kiyosaki was actually getting at, is that money doesn't really make you rich or poor, because if you look at it, and you can Google this tonight, don't take my word for it. Always look up the facts, because documentation beats conversation all the time, like Shane just said. Over 50% of people who retire from the NBA, high-paying sports like that, a percentage of them actually wind up filing bankruptcies anywhere between 18 and 36 months after retiring, after making millions and millions of dollars for years. And then another stat is out there that over 30 to 40% of lotto winners who've won millions have also filed bankruptcy after 18 to 36 months. Why is that? They got a lot of money. They were considered rich. So someone can be rich but have a poor mentality or poor financial education, in other words. So really, money doesn't make someone rich or poor. It is their mindset and their level of their financial education. Like Robert Kiyosaki said, he concentrated on being wealthy, not just being rich, because rich is just having the money. Wealth is having the money and the mindset, so that if for whatever reason, if you lost the money, you can actually start all over again and become wealthy again. That's something that no one can take away from you. So here on the Highway to Freedom, we truly believe in actually empowering our members to give them a wealthy mindset, not just give them the ability to make money off trades, a wealthy mindset, which could be taken anywhere in the world, just like Shane is not even in this country and doing this webinar. So the whole concept is about having a wealthy mindset. So I'm just going to run over a couple of key points and how they relate to the Highway to Freedom. So as you can see here, what exactly makes you rich or poor? We obviously answered it. It's your financial education plus your mindset. So what I took from the video, there's 3 types of education. Academic, reading, writing, mathematics. Then if someone has decided to become a professional, doctor, lawyer, professor, etc. But financial education, in my opinion, is the most important. Why? Because rich or poor, every one of us has to use money. But how we use it, when we use it, and the purpose we use it for is a whole different ballgame. Which one of these, in your opinion, is the most important and why? I want you to ask yourself that tonight, especially upon watching that video. Because obviously there was some changes in our government once 401ks came that basically cut the ties of the government having the responsibility to take care of someone when they're reaching retirement age. And that's what the problem is now. People have to think on their own to actually know what their finances are. I'm actually going to prove next week why financial education is the most important of all 3. I'm not saying that, the other 2 are least important, but I'm going to show something next week that I think you guys will be very impressed with, and hands down show you that financial education is the key of these 3 types of education. But that's a little tidbit, a little teaser for next week. So you should definitely stay tuned. But anyway, moving on. Why do you think financial education is not taught in our schools? Not even today, even with recessions happening on average every 8 years. And if someone wants to actually dispute that, and I would hope that they would, not just take my word for it, I actually went and pulled up the research. This is right here from Wikipedia. We've been having recessions in this country for a while. The Great Depression from August 1929 lasted for 3 years and 7 months. Then after that, there were a number of mini recessions, because basically they call a full recession anything that lasts more than a year. So we obviously had the Great Depression that lasted 3 years and 7 months. We didn't really get out of it, so it's continued from 37 to 1938. Then as we continued on, we had another recession in 1973 to 75 for 1 year and 4 months. Then on top of that, we had the early 2000, which is the dot-com bubble, lasted almost about 8 months. And then we had the Great Recession, which obviously they made a movie on. If you get a chance, watch this movie called The Big Short, which was basically a documentary, but they used, very talented actors to portray the story, which was just a few years ago. 2007 to 2009 lasted a year and 6 months. So you're telling me we're having recessions basically on average every few years, but yet financial education is not taught in our schools, not even today. And somehow that we kind of think that's okay. To me, that's very dangerous, because basically when people don't have financial education, it leads to higher crime. It leads to, certain situations. it leads to divorce, it leads to a bunch of society problems because that education is not being taught in the school. So just think about that. If we're having these kind of recessions all the time and there's no financial education, what do you think is the main cause of that? And on top of that, if I go back to this chart and we take a look at this, we're still living today. So this Great Recession was in 2009. Do you really think that there will be nothing else after here, even though it's 2017? Really think about that. Do you think that we're done with, we're done with recessions? We're not going to have another one because we had one in 2009? That's what people really need to think about it. Because if we do have another recession, what are people going to do? Especially if it's as bad as 2009. They're going to have financial education to get out of that situation. So moving on. One of the other things that Robert said, and I actually pulled out of the video, is the passive investor versus the active investor. Now, obviously in 1974, due to the ERISA Act, basically, which is a 401ks that were forced onto the job market, there was no longer pensions, and you get, your Social Security plus a pension, and it was an automatic thing. Now you had to invest automatically. The HR comes to you, they give you a book, they're giving you a choice of moderate, risky, a combination, and a lot of people do not know what choices to put. So at the job, it's being controlled by a financial advisor. They're using your money 100%, but zero risk to them, because whether they make you money in that 401k, IRA, Roth, pension, or whatever, it's being utilized by a money manager, and that money manager is going to get paid at the end of the year regardless, whether he or she makes you money or not. So you're basically, you are forced to be a passive investor, which is ironic, forced to be a passive investor with the ERISA Act of 1974, which is AKA the 401k system. Now, what is that versus what we have here on the Highway to Freedom? We are active investors. That's right, because on the Highway to Freedom, if you are a member or you are looking to be a member, or we're considering making you a member, if it's a right fit, you control your money at all times in the Forex market, 100% of your money, 100% control of your own risk. So what do I mean by that? Everyone obviously is going to start their account at a different amount. So some people may have a large amount to start their Forex account here on the Highway to Freedom. Some may have a small, but we like to stick to about a $200 minimum and then take it from there. Obviously, Lawrence and a number of members are a testimony of that. It's not about how much you start with. It's about if you start at all. So my whole thing is that if in 1974, if you're on a job and you have a 401k automatically and you are forced to become a passive investor, why not be an active investor, control your money, control your own risk, how much you want to risk on a daily basis with professionals who've learned the skills like the members of the Highway to Freedom leadership, and make money where you are controlling it at all times and controlling your own risk and not paying any money manager whether they make you money or not, because you're controlling your own money. So speaking of that, what does that mean? So if I go to last week's pull-up, as you can see, we closed out with 613 pips, which if someone doesn't know what a pip is, just think of it as a unit. So if somebody basically was trading at $10 a unit, 6 times 613, they would have made $6,130. That's pretty impressive for a week, just for turning their phone into an ATM and being an active investor. So this is the kind of power and opportunity that the Highway to Freedom offers as an active investor. You controlling your money at all times, taking calls from professionals to help you get to the goals that you want to get to. Okay? So basically, this is a breakdown of what a PIP is. Basically, depending on what you start your account with, you can start trading at 10 cents a PIP, $1 a PIP, or $10 a PIP. And just to show you real quickly what that looks like, anyone who basically comes into the opportunity, they get one of these, which is our P394X spreadsheet. This basically allows you to track your success here on the highway to freedom. Someone can start with as little as $200. We're looking to get 5% per day, which is about, on average, 48 to 50 pips. So if I started with $200 here on June 11th, which it is today's date, 5%, that's $10. That $10 on top of the 210 becomes 220, and then so on and so on. So this is how Lawrence and all other members who started with small amounts actually blew it up into the thousands. So this is not magic. This is not hocus pocus. This is the power of compound interest, taking a small amount of profit, allowing it to grow, and then come back again and allowing it to grow again, come back again, and then allowing it to grow again. This is the power of compound interest. And we show you those members that who are actually on the highway to freedom, how to take a $200 account. And as you can say, this is the number of days here, a $200 account. If you let it go and you see 60 days, then you get to the threshold of 90 days. Then you start at 120. You can see what the potential of this account can look like, all stemming from a $200 account. That's the power of Forex. So as I get back to this and wrap this up, you now understand what makes someone rich or poor. It has to be their financial education. If the school is not going to give it to you, then who is? That's why we started this group, the Highway to Freedom. Why go local when the highway is available? And it's not only available for your goals, it's available for your financial education, it's available for your mindset, and it's available for you to get wealthy, but not in a get rich fast type of system, but in a slow, methodical, organic way. And at the same time, increasing your financial education so you can keep the wealth, not just get the wealth, but keep it. So that basically wraps up what I have to say tonight. I'm actually going to close out with 3 questions. If you have that pen and paper, now is the time to definitely get it out, because if you are invited guest tonight, these are the questions that you would definitely want to write down, because whoever invited you on the line tonight is actually going to get back to you and look for the answers to these questions. The first is, does your money wake up before you, or do you have to wake up in order to earn more money? The second question, does your money work for you when you're not? So for example, tomorrow's Monday, if I want to take off, or if I get sick, or I just don't feel like going in, are you going to still make the same amount of money if you don't get up out of that bed at a certain time? The third thing, many people work overtime, but does your money work overtime for you? And if so, how many times per week? So these are 3 important questions that you need to ask yourself, especially if you're considering looking deeper into this opportunity. Because whether you like it or not, if you're on a job and you have a 401k, you are a passive investor. Why not change to become an active investor? And we have the opportunity, the means, and the fortitude to put people on a highway to freedom. Thanks for listening. My name is Femi O'Donoghue. It's been a pleasure. And I definitely look forward to seeing any new members on the highway to freedom. I'm going to turn it back over to Shane. It's been a pleasure. Have a great evening, everyone. Blessings.
Awesome presentation, Femi. Awesome. Definitely is a pleasure working with Femi. And, you know, he's a guy that no matter if we're having a serious conversation or we just cutting a fool, it seems like I just learned something new by talking to him. So he's definitely somebody that I could say I've benefited from just being around him. And it's been such a pleasure growing with him here on the highway to freedom. So thanks for that information for me. And, you know, it's always a pleasure. You always have me looking forward to the next week to see what type of knowledge that you're going to spread. Thank you. So guys, usually at this point in time in our presentation, we meet three type of people. There's that A person that says, man, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I want to do whatever I can do to be a part of this movement with you guys. Shane, shut up so I can get started. Then there's that B person that says, yes, I see what you guys are saying. I'm motivated about doing it. I just have a couple of questions that I need to be answered. Then there's that C person that says, I see what you guys are doing, but this money-making thing is just not for me. And if you're that C person, all I can say is we're going to see you later. If you're that B person and you wrote down those questions, expect to get a phone call from the person who invited you on this webinar, and they will be able to help you and assist you with answering those questions. Even if we have to reach up to one of the leadership to do a three-way call, we'll do whatever we can to help answer those questions for you. And if you're that A person and you are accepted onto our platform, well, I have to say we're going to definitely see you at the top. We'll see you in our Telegram, and we're going to make it happen. Guys, it's been a pleasure bringing the information to you tonight about what we're doing here on the Highway to Freedom. You have a great night.